your Bibles with me to Psalm 11. Psalm 11. I think Nancy did the microphone, so I'll give a chance to catch up to us. We're going to do tonight what we've been doing every first Sunday night of the month during the Psalm service. Go back down now. We're going to look at a psalm. We're going to focus on Psalm 11. We'll provide some brief introductory remarks. We'll make some observations from the text, and then we'll make an application for you and for me. So Psalm 11 is a psalm that's ascribed to David. Now, we don't know historically the context, and that's true with a lot of psalms when we come to them. We can have a general idea, and we can maybe think of certain situations, maybe in David's life, that might be applicable, and I think that's the case with this particular psalm. As we read the words of this psalm, I can't help but think that possibly the background is David's situation when he is fleeing from Saul to protect his life. You remember in 1 Samuel chapter 19 and verse 1, Saul in essence puts a bounty on David's head. It says this, "Now Saul told Jonathan his son and all his servants to put David to death." So David in essence is living as a fugitive. Every step he takes, he has to worry about who's hiding behind a rock or maybe who's behind a certain a tree or a situation where anybody could come out at any point in time and try to kill him. And I can't help but think that that's not the backdrop to this particular psalm. Now, let's make some observations from the text. The first observation I want to make is this. Let's read verses 1 through 3, and I want us to notice David's security. Verses 1 through 3. "In the Lord I take refuge. How can you say to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? For behold, the wicked bend the bow, they make ready their arrow upon the strings, to shoot in darkness at the upright in heart. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do?" And I actually want us to work our way backwards from verse 3 back to verse 1. If the foundations are destroyed, what are ultimately the foundations of society? It's the essence of law and order, isn't it? If you think about the idea that the foundations here are law and order, and if indeed this is occurring against the backdrop of what Saul is trying to do in killing David, then indeed law and order has crumbled. Saul has thrown every sense of law to the wind as he is out to murder David unjustly. And in essence, David is saying here in this psalm, what are the righteous to do? If law and order is thrown to the side, what are the righteous left to do then? In verse 2 gives us a picture of exactly how law and order had been thrown to the side. The picture of those that are trying to kill David with their bows ready at any given moment. As David wanders around trying to escape each of these snares that might be set for him, that's the picture of exactly how law and order would crumble. So what do his friends tell him to do? Abandon ship. You run, you flee as a bird to your mountain. You know, we sing that song from time to time, and I had never realized or taken the time to look at the context of that song and where it comes from. When we sing it, it sounds like a pretty song, doesn't it? Soothing and comforting. But that's not the context of this particular song. This is in essence David's enemy saying, look, everything around you is crumbling. Trials are coming at you to the point that your life is in danger. You need to run. You need to head for the hills. Isn't that exactly what birds do when trouble comes? When a storm comes, what do the birds do? They fly. They leave. They go to a place of safety. That's what David's friends are telling him to do. But what's David's response? This is what I mean. Let's notice his security. "In the Lord I take refuge." Remarkable to think about. David, a fugitive, a bounty on his head, hiding under the cover of night, trying to escape those that are setting snares for him, when all of his friends are saying, look, flee, go, take safety. Run for your own life. There's no need for you to stay. What does David say? "My refuge is in the Lord. I'm going to stand firm because I believe that God will see me through." Well, what on earth would that type of confidence stem from? Was understanding God's sovereignty. And that's what we're going to read about now in verses 4 through 7. David starts out by recognizing where God is. Listen to verse 4. "The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in the heaven. His eyes behold, his eyelids test the sons of men." You see, David recognizes that God's on the throne. He can take refuge in the Lord because he understands God's sovereignty. The fact that God is on the throne, He's in His holy temple. He understands exactly where He is, and as God is sitting on that throne in His holy temple, He's looking out at all of His creation. And guess what? He doesn't miss a thing. There's nothing that escapes His view. That phrase, His eyelids test, that's what that's getting to. It's the fact that He's carrying out close observation, not missing any minute detail. So you see, in part, David can take refuge in the Lord because he understands God's sovereignty, because God's on the throne and He's looking out on all His creation, seeing everything that's going on. Now look at verse 5. The Lord tests the righteous and the wicked, and the ones who loves violence, His soul hates. You see, God's testing, His judgment is all-encompassing. You see, His testing is on the righteous. He strengthens them by refining. If you want to keep maybe your finger there or marker and turn over to 1 Peter chapter 1. Peter says this very thing. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 6. In this you greatly rejoice, even though now for a little while, if necessary, you've been distressed by various trials, so that the proof of your faith, being more precious than gold, which is perishable, even though tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. You see, God's testing for those that are righteous, it results in strengthening. It results in a situation where those that are righteous come out stronger on the other side of that testing. But that's not true for the wicked. You see, for the wicked, God's testing results in judgment and punishment. And in fact, the contrast is made in comparison to righteousness. It's the idea of violence. Couldn't be any more at opposite ends of the spectrum, could it? And what does the psalm say? It says that God, the Lord, He hates violence. Can't have anything to do with it. Why? Because He's righteous. So then the psalmist goes on to talk about God's judgment. And he gives 4 examples of that judgment. Upon the wicked He will rain snares, verse 6. You ever been caught out in a rainstorm? Especially unexpectedly. You ever been in a situation maybe where, I don't know, you're at Walmart or Target or the grocery store, and when you go in, you didn't realize that a downpour's coming? And now it's time to leave the store, and you got no choice. You got to get back to work or to home or some appointment, and you've got no choice but to get to the car during that torrential downpour. You know how miserable that can be, right? That's the picture in essence that's being painted here by the psalmist, but instead of a rainstorm, it's God's judgment coming down upon those that are wicked. Fire and brimstone, certainly a reference back to Sodom and Gomorrah. Burning wind. You think about that desert environment where the heat is just scorching, and as the wind kicks up, the sand starts to stir, and you can imagine or almost feel it as it would hit against your skin and feel like little needles almost pricking your skin. Burning sensation. All of these represent the cup of God's wrath as His judgment is levied against those that are unrighteous, the wicked. But you see, what's important to remember here is that judgment is based on God's time. We don't always understand it. David trusted in that judgment. He trusted in the aspect that it would occur in God's timing. And then notice what he says finally as he closes it out. He notices 3 truths about God. Number 1, the Lord is righteous. He can't have any part of evil, of wickedness. He loves righteousness. He wants it to encompass all the earth. That would be His desire. And the upright will behold His face. Only those that are upright, that are pure in heart, that strive for righteousness will be able to stand in God's presence. You see, David recognizes God's sovereignty, which allows him to have security. Now, let's shift quickly to 3 applications for you and for me. David certainly faced trials in his life. This would be an example of one as he was running from Saul. You and I are going to face trials in our life too. And I would submit there are at least 3 possible choices that each one of us have to make when those trials come. The first one is this. What was the advice of David's friends? To flee, to run. Now, when you and I are in a trial, running may or may not be an option.
It could be that the trial we're under, that there's no possibility of getting away from it, so fleeing's not an option. But the reality is, sometimes it is. And sometimes it's an option because it's the easy way out. And in essence, I think that's what David saw in his friend's advice. Certainly it would have been much easier for David to run to a mountain and flee to safety, but he recognized that God's in control. There's a bigger plan than my own personal desires. So you and I, when we're in that situation, one option is to flee. The other option would be to stay in the plane. It's the idea of, you know what, I'll do it, but I'm not going to like it. And I sometimes wonder if that's not right where Satan wants us, maybe even more than fleeing, because you see, not only does that do damage to us, but it hurts other people as well. Because more than likely, other people are going to hear us complaining. And now, all of a sudden, God's ability to influence is perhaps lessened because of our damage in not having trust in Him. So there's the option of fleeing, there's the option of staying and complaining, or there's the option of doing what David did. Stay and trust in God. To recognize that He is sovereign, that He's in control, and to take our refuge in Him, just like David did. It's not always easy. We don't always understand God's timing. But we have to believe that God never, never, ever forsakes His people. I can't help but think back to our Bible class this morning and one of the points that David made. Talking about the life of Jacob and how the reality is Jacob struggled throughout his life. He made a series of bad decisions at times. But yet God still found a way to bless him and to work in his life to accomplish an unbelievable fulfillment as part of His promise to Abraham. Think about what God can do in our lives. You and I, as imperfect as we are, as much as we struggle, we will choose to stand firm and trust in Him. Know that He loves us and know that He'll never, ever forsake us. But that all begins by being a child of His. It begins by trusting in Him, submitting our lives to Him, and making a decision to live Him faithfully every day. Perhaps you're here this evening and you need to do that very thing. Maybe you need to be baptized, or maybe you need to rededicate your life to Him tonight. That opportunity is yours together while we stand and sing.